Well, it's no secret, arrows are getting expensive. So let me show you something I do that make arrows that cost this much shoot almost as good as arrows that cost this much. Arrows can get very expensive, and I doubt most of us average guys want to drop $200 to $300 on a set of arrows, especially when we know we're going to go out and we're going to lose them and we're going to break them. Instead, let's see if we can get some of these affordable arrows to fly like the more expensive ones. So these here are GoldTip Warriors. They're basically the GoldTip Hunters, just without the labeling. They're a 246 standard diameter shaft. They're 6,000 straightness. You can get them from 600 to 300 spine. So these are probably the cheapest arrows you can buy that are still have enough spine that you can shoot them out of adult bows. So I've bought these to replace some of the GoldTip Hunters that I've lost for my mission MXR. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to take these, throw them on the spinner, and just see how they look, and we'll go from there. All right, first thing we need to do here is get these all unwrapped and probably take the nocks out of them. Do that really quick, and we'll be back. Alright, so let's throw these $60 a dozen arrows on the spinner here and just see how they look. Look at this end first. Definitely a little wobble. How about this end? A little bit, not much, but a little. Now, is that to be expected with 6,000 straightness arrows? Of course. Of course. So how do we make them a little better? Well, we're going to cut the wobble out. In this case, I'm going to cut off a little bit from this end and a little bit from this end because I'm cutting these to match this. Those are 28, these are 32, so I've got 4 inches that I can play with, 4 inches that I can cut off. And this is where guys get really wound up. They want all their labels to match when they put their arrows in the quiver. I don't care. So I'm going to have some that I'm going to take 4 inches all off this end, or I might take 4 inches off this end, or in this arrow, in the case of this arrow, I'm going to take 2 and 2. And by the time I'm done, I'm probably going to have a pretty good spinning arrow. So I'm going to mark both ends of this one because I know I want to take about 2 inches off each one because I've got 4 inches to play with. So I'm just going to mark both ends so I know I want to cut both ends. And we're going to move on. I'm going to run through all these really quick and I'll get back to you once I've done that. All right, here's a good example. This one, this end spins great. No wiggle at all. This end, on the other hand, has a little play. So I'm going to cut everything off this end. I'm going to put this one in a different pile so I know it's that end that needs to come off. These ones I'm getting both ends. We're going to keep going here. Alright, this one here's got some pretty good wobble on this end. But on this end, it's about glass. So I'm going to take all of it off this end. Let's get down here out of the way. Moving on. Alright, I've been through them all and I'm on the last one. And this one is like perfect. Maybe a tad wobble on this end. But this arrow is dang near perfect. Alright, so we're going to take it off this end. That's the only one that's got even a hint of wobble. So here's how they ended up. I ended up with 3. I'm going to take it off the right. I ended up 4, take it off the left. And then that leaves the rest are coming out of the middle. So let's get them cut down. And then we'll spin them again and just see how much we improved them. Alright, I've got these set up. So these ones are getting cut off both ends. They're 32 inches long. So I've got this set to 30 down here so that I can take 2 inches off these and then I'll shorten it to 28 and then cut them all to length. This thing tries to rumble around a little bit, so I did throw a clamp on there. I don't have a place to screw this thing down yet. So we'll figure it out. So here we go. We're going to take 2 inches off the ends here. All right, we're going to move this down to 28 inches now. There. And now this end needs to be cut off of them. And that end needs to cut off all of those. And here we go. All right, there are a dozen arrows cut. Kind of made a mess. Let me wipe that up. All right, let's put these bad boys back on the spinner now and see what they look like. That we get rid of the wobbly end. Guessing they're going to look a little better. Touch a wobble there. Almost perfect on that end. Touch a wobble. Almost perfect. Touch a wobble. Really nice on that end. Little wobble. Little wobble. That end spins nice. That end perfect. That end looks good. And it's got just a touch of wobble left in it. Now the thing here is, it's going to touch. That looks nice. It is amazing to me when I watch videos, like especially ones that MFJJ does, when he's doing the arrow reviews and he pulls out a pack of these arrows that are, you know, $150 a dozen. And even with those, you'll still see he gets 1, 2, sometimes 3 arrows that don't spin as well as they should, especially for that price. So yeah, these still got a touch of wobble to them, but I only paid $60 for these things. If you ask me, this is a pretty good deal on arrows, considering what I paid for them and what they're going to do. These are going to be great arrows. Touch a wobble on that end. Nice on that end. Yep, it's pretty consistent. They'll have just a little bit. And nice on that end. Well, what do you think? I took this $60 dozen of arrows, cut off the bad ends. They spin pretty well, if you ask me. We'll see how well they do. I know they do pretty well because I've played this game before and it works out in my favor pretty good. So it saves you a bunch of money. You still get pretty decent arrows. Now, the part for you guys with OCD that you're going to struggle with, my labels don't match. So how do you solve that problem? I'm going to fletch this end so that these are down in the quiver and I'll never see them until I pull them out. Now, guys are going to tell you you can't do that because on arrows like this one, you've got these labels on here, and these are actually like something that's a sticker that's printed, or sorry, that's a sticker that gets rolled onto the arrow, and they've got a little lip to them. So if you try to shoot this end as the point end, it's going to hit the label and it can throw tuning and everything off. This stuff is printed directly on the arrows. It's smooth. There's really nothing there, so it's not going to throw your tune off. So you can shoot them that way and get away with it on these arrows. Ultimately, when I'm done with these, they're going to be built to match these. But I figured, since I've got 12 fresh arrows, I ought to take the opportunity to put my bend test theory to the test again to prove if it works with a full dozen arrows that are all brand new. So stick around. I'm going to get inserts in these, bend test them, and then go shoot them through paper and just see how many actually shoot bullet holes the first time through. Unfortunately, I just got called today. I actually got to go to work here and it's probably going to be a couple weeks before I get to that. So check back in a little bit, and hopefully you'll have that video before too long. You guys get to see these arrows get shot through paper and just see how well they tune just by doing the bend test. Thanks for coming along. We'll talk to you on the next one.